An empire that ruled for 600 years, but hid secrets most people have never heard of. The Ottoman Empire was far more shocking than you think. Shocking facts about the Ottoman Empire rarely known. For more than 6 centuries, the Ottoman Empire stood as one of the most powerful and enduring empires in world history. Stretching across Southeast Europe, Western Asia, and North Africa at its height, it controlled key trade routes, diverse populations, and sacred cities. Yet beyond the familiar narratives of conquest and decline lie lesser-known truths. Stories of calculated tolerance, hidden rivalries, secret systems of power, and surprising innovation that shaped the empire in unexpected ways. The Ottoman story began in the late 13th century with a small Anatolian principality led by Osman I. From modest origins, the Ottomans expanded steadily, absorbing neighboring territories weakened by internal conflict. Their defining breakthrough came in 1453, when Sultan Mehmed II captured Constantinople. The fall of the Byzantine capital sent shockwaves across Europe. The city, renamed Istanbul, became the heart of an empire that bridged continents. Yet what is often overlooked is how the Ottomans transformed rather than destroyed the city. Churches were converted into mosques, but trade networks were restored, and scholars were invited to rebuild its intellectual life. One surprising aspect of the empire was its administrative sophistication. Rather than forcing uniformity, the Ottomans governed diverse religious communities through the millet system. Christians and Jews were allowed to maintain their own legal courts, schools, and religious leaders, as long as they paid taxes and remained loyal to the Sultan. In an age when religious wars devastated Europe, this pragmatic tolerance helped maintain relative stability across vast territories. The empire did not aim to erase difference, it aimed to manage it. Another rarely discussed feature was the devshirme system. Beginning in the 14th century, Ottoman officials collected Christian boys from the Balkans, converting them to Islam and training them for state service. Though it appears harsh by modern standards, this system created a unique path to power. Many of these boys rose to become high-ranking administrators or elite soldiers known as janissaries. Loyalty to the Sultan, rather than noble birth, determined advancement. In effect, the empire built a ruling class from outside traditional aristocracy, reducing the risk of hereditary rebellion. The janissaries themselves became one of the most formidable military forces in the world. Highly disciplined and loyal, they played a crucial role in Ottoman expansion. European armies often struggled against their organization and firepower. Yet here lies another hidden truth. The very force that strengthened the empire eventually contributed to its decline. Over time, the janissaries gained political influence, resisted modernization, and interfered in succession disputes. What began as a symbol of strength gradually became a source of instability. Succession within the Ottoman court was another dark and lesser-known aspect. Unlike European monarchies that followed strict primogeniture, Ottoman princes competed for the throne. To prevent civil war, it became common practice for a new sultan to eliminate his brothers. This brutal tradition, known as fratricide, was justified as a means of preserving unity. Later, instead of execution, potential rivals were confined in palace quarters called the cafes, or cage. Princes grew up isolated from public life, often inexperienced when they finally ascended the throne. The system ensured short-term stability but sometimes produced weak leadership. While the empire is often portrayed as rigidly traditional, it was remarkably adaptive in its early centuries. The Ottomans embraced gunpowder technology earlier than many rivals, integrating cannons and firearms effectively into their military strategy. Their navy dominated the eastern Mediterranean, challenging European maritime powers. Ottoman architects, such as the legendary Mimar Sinan, constructed magnificent mosques and bridges that blended engineering precision with artistic beauty. These projects were not merely religious symbols, they were statements of imperial confidence. Trade was another cornerstone of Ottoman power. Positioned between Europe and Asia, the empire controlled major land and sea routes. Spices, silk, and precious metals passed through its markets. Istanbul became a bustling hub where merchants from Venice, Persia, and Arabia negotiated deals. Far from being isolated, the empire was deeply connected to global commerce. Ironically, it was the European search for alternative trade routes, leading to voyages around Africa and across the Atlantic, that eventually reduced Ottoman economic dominance. One of the most surprising aspects of the empire was the significant influence of women within the imperial court. During the 16th and 17th centuries, a period sometimes called the Sultanate of Women, mothers and wives of sultans wielded extraordinary power. Figures like Harem Sultan advised rulers, influenced foreign policy, and sponsored architectural projects. Though officially excluded from formal rule, these women shaped decisions behind palace walls, proving that power in the empire was not always visible. However, as centuries passed, internal corruption, military stagnation, and economic competition eroded Ottoman strength. European powers industrialized and modernized their armies, while the empire struggled to keep pace. Reform efforts in the 19th century, known as the Tanzimat, sought to modernize administration, grant equal rights to subjects, and centralize authority. Yet these reforms came amid rising nationalist movements. Greeks, Serbs, Bulgarians, and others sought independence, gradually fragmenting the empire's European territories. By the early 20th century, the once mighty empire faced mounting crises. It entered World War I on the side of the Central Powers, a decision that proved catastrophic. Military defeat and internal unrest followed. In 1922, the Ottoman Sultanate was officially abolished, marking the end of an empire that had endured for over 600 years. The Ottoman Empire's history is not simply a tale of conquest and collapse. It is a story of calculated tolerance, strategic innovation, internal rivalry, and hidden power structures. It governed vast lands with a blend of flexibility and control. It elevated individuals from humble origins to positions of authority. It balanced brutality with pragmatism. Perhaps the most shocking truth is how modern the empire could be in its adaptability, and how human its internal struggles were. Beneath the grand titles and magnificent architecture lay political intrigue, reform efforts, and debates about identity that echo in modern states today. The legacy of the Ottoman Empire still shapes the Middle East, the Balkans, and beyond. Borders, cultural traditions, and legal systems bear traces of its influence. To understand its rarely discussed facts is to see an empire not as a static relic, but as a dynamic force that connected continents, cultures, and centuries in ways that continue to resonate long after its fall.